Hello, beautiful people. Now, like I alluded to in my previous video about the situation, I wanted to respond to a certain person who, I have a very much smaller platform than this guy does, but his video particularly irked me. Not even in the sense that I am a CM Punk fan, because again, I am a Kenny Omega fan. I like Kenny Omega. I like everything he does outside of the ring. I like Hangman Adam Page. I love the storytelling that he provides. I like his character. The Young Bucks, not so much of a fan of those guys, but it is what it is. Um, this guy's particular video, it irks me just because it's like, all right, let's be honest, we're grown men. At the end of the day, this shit don't matter. But when we do look at wrestling in the wrestling world as an escape for the real life, I have a problem with this because, again, alluding to my previous video, um, you just don't do you just you just don't do what the elite has done as men. At the end of the day, not even just as men, as humans, we don't do that. It's sucker shit. Is pussy shit. You don't go behind people's back doing bullshit. You don't do the dick moves that these four gentlemen has done. That is the elite and Hangman Adam Page. I don't know if he was an elite. Don't know if he, it was at one point or not. I don't follow the elite that far back down. But that you just don't do what they did. And what they did, and I'll allude to it in the previous comment, meaning the previous, like I did the previous video. And again, this is all before Punk ever did anything to them. Hangman Adam Page went into business for himself against CM Punk on the Go Home show in the Champions promo. The Young Bucks spreading rumors that CM Punk got Colt Cabana fired. Kenny Omega, don't really remember what he's done to Punk, but let's get a full context of his character. They were having a talent meeting before. Everything was going great. A very positive energy, and then here comes Kenny Omega. 80% of you guys wouldn't make my roster. I'm paraphrasing, but the number is correct in what he said. 80% of you wouldn't make my roster. So when you speak upon dividing a locker room and people not standing together and this and that and blah, 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 and I'm saying blah, blah, blah because honestly, I could not finish this guy's video. Like, usually I can stick around for his videos. I can, listen to him every now and then. I'm not subscribed, but when they come up, I like, if I'm interested in a topic, I'll click on them. But just this video is so bad. Like, it was such a casual take, and it's such a blinding take that you like either didn't do your research or you didn't do your due diligence at all in figuring out what is going on in the context of these people. You just hear, oh, CM Punk's an asshole. He was an asshole in WWE. He was an asshole in ROH. He was an asshole in blah, blah, blah. He's an asshole. He walked out on WWE. Oh, he's doing the same thing to AEW. And that's such a casual take because it's so fucking frustrating when you're a fan of wrestling and you want two companies to be together, or you want two companies to compete together, because I wasn't alive for the WCW and WWE era. I think I was 1 year old when WCW sold to WWE, and even by that time, everyone known that WCW was done. So I wasn't alive. We did have TNA, but and when I was 10 years old, I thought TNA was a good competition for WWE, but now like 12 years later, I'm looking like, what the fuck, like, that was ugly. So no, we've never really had competition or two competitive wrestling companies. But when someone comes in and does as much good will for a company as Punk has done. Because again, as a casual pro wrestling fan, a WWE full time watcher my entire life. My entire life, I've watched WWE. I've gone in and out of hip hop. I've stopped playing video games for a while. The one consistent thing in my life has been the WWE. When someone who made a mark in WWE comes to AEW and puts so many stars upon, like, I didn't care about Hook until CM Punk had an interaction with him, and the same for Powerhouse Hobbs. I knew about MJF, but I did not care about him until that CM Punk storyline. Who else? Wardlow. Did not care about Wardlow until that match. Even like the looks of Eddie Kingston, Britt Baker getting those shout outs from Punk. It made me want to look into her more. And this is me as a casual pro wrestling fan, but a WWE stan, you could call it. I come in and he's done so much work. Even if Punk never wrestles, Hook is one of my favorite wrestlers now now Punk created that demand for Hook with the Send Hook meme or whatever. I went to an AEW show when it came to Cincinnati, and I thought Hook was Sammy Guevara. That's just like how much I wasn't, that's how much I was a casual to like pro wrestling. But now, with the Send Hook and all that stuff like that, I care about the Hooks of the world. I care about the Eddie Kingstons. I care about all these guys, like the Darby Allins and stuff. I wouldn't care. Like, Jeff Hardy is probably my favorite wrestler of all time, next to John Cena. And before, I couldn't care about that Darby Allin match with Jeff Hardy. I don't like it now, but I couldn't care about that match if he didn't have that match with CM Punk. When CM Punk said when I was a kid, Darby Allin would have been his favorite wrestler, that put Darby Allin over for me. So Punk has done more for a lot of wrestlers than, I'll just say it, like, he's done more for a lot of wrestlers than Hangman could, than Young Bucks could, than Kenny Omega could. For a casual WWE fan, for the casual WWE, or not the casual WWE fan, but the casual wrestling fan, we all know about Kenny Omega because, it's what we hear. We all know about Young Bucks because it's what we hear. It's just like what we hear. You can't ignore those names because they are stars in the wrestling business. But the Darby Allins of the world, Kenny Omega can't make me care about them people. CM Punk can. But my biggest point here is when someone has done that much goodwill for the company and he's been shitted on by 4 people who hasn't done nearly as much in making this company popular to a casual WWE fan or a casual wrestling fan, sorry, we can't discredit that and shit on that. We all, like I said in my last video, we all know CM Punk's an asshole. But if you're going to call CM Punk out on his bullshit, you have to call Kenny Omega out. You have to call Young Bucks out. You have to call Hangman out. And like Jim Cornette said, there are going to be, in a few years, there are going to be stories coming out about the Elite and how shitty it was working in AEW for under these EVPs. But my problem with the great ones, that guy, I don't know his real name, but my problem with him is he going to apologize? Is he going to make the same video? No, he's just going to make the same video about Kenny Omega. He's just going to make the same video about da-da-da-da. Act all shocked and surprised. But if he would have just do his due diligence and not shit on a person who's done so much for the company. And I just like it sucks, man, because I really like AEW and I wanted to succeed. Imagine if Punk had that title reign. Imagine if Punk didn't get injured. MJF was out. So just imagine the names he could have had matches with. Imagine the names he could have had matches with and made even more interest. Like, just imagine. I don't know. It would just be amazing to imagine, but for some reason, we all got to shit on CM Punk because it's the popular thing to do. I just hate wave riders. I hate people who just like, oh, that's what we doing. We shitting on CM Punk. All right, let's shit on CM Punk. I hate it. To that guy, just do your research. Like 10 minutes of a Jim Cornette video. Like just listen to 10 minutes of a Jim Cornette video. He didn't want to go to AEW just because of these guys. Like he says it in his video. I did not want to go to AEW because of those guys. And there is hidden information that that Jim Cornette is not saying. He said, I can't say too much. Cody left for a reason. We have to be honest about, it's easy to blame Tony Khan, but we have to be honest about those EVPs. We have to be honest about those guys we look at as wrestling gods. Maybe they got a little ego in there. Maybe there's some dickheads. Maybe they're assholes, and there's no problem with being an asshole. Everyone's an asshole, but it's those who's honest about it that we can get along with. The Kenny Omegas and the Elite, if I was in that locker room, I could not get along with those guys because they're not honest about being assholes. There are people in there who are afraid to lose their jobs because they're not speaking up for themselves. They're afraid to speak up for themselves because they feel like they may lose their job or their place, just like the WWE. People were not speaking up, or the Triple H's or the Shawn Michaels or whatever. People was taking a lot of bullshit because they were afraid of losing their place. They were afraid of losing their jobs. And I love John Cena, but people were afraid to say something about him because they were afraid they would lose their place. They were afraid they would lose their jobs. So imagine John Cena was an EVP. Yeah. But be beautiful, people. If you feel so inclined, please share, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and be good people, man. Sub to act.